Hi, this is Tim Grant with Business Solution Providers. I'm coming to you as a friend of Order Time. They have invited me to talk today about units of measure. And this is a topic I really enjoy talking to because a lot of the clients that I work with are really confused on exactly how it should work. It may seem like a simple thing, but when you go to set it up, it's really important that you set it up correctly. Otherwise, you can end up with big problems down the road. So I'm talking to Order Time clients here who want to know more about how do units of measure work. So before we jump into the program, though, I want to show something that gives a little bit, kind of simplifies the process here. So let's say we have a widget company, and these widgets we just buy and resell. So we have a manufacturer who creates our widgets for us, and we pay them to do it. And then they send us the widgets, we stock them, and then we send them out to our customers, either distributors or maybe end customers. So one basic concept to think about units of measure is a base or primary unit of measure. So you have to have this base unit assigned to each of your products. And you can only have one unit of measure that's the base unit for that item or article. So in my example here, we stock our widgets in eaches. That's our base or primary unit. Now we send purchase orders out and we receive from our manufacturer, or let's say it's a supplier, a case of 100. That's what we call an alternate unit of measure. So to them, they're just sending out a case, in this case of 100 units. And when we receive those in, we might say on our purchase order, we're ordering one case of 100. But when we receive them in, since our base unit of measure is in each, our system, in this case, Order Time, is recording that we have 100 units in stock. Pretty easy to understand. Now, related to that are other alternate units that you can have related to the base unit. So let's say we're shipping out to a distribution company and we ship them out by a pallet. So that might be, 1,000 units and maybe 200 cases. So those are going to be alternate units. Our pallet might actually contain 1,000 eaches, but we put them in 5 in a box, so we have 200 boxes that are going on that pallet. Similarly, if we're selling directly to a customer, we may sell our units just in pairs. So 2 at a time are going out of our warehouse, and we like to sell those in pairs. That's an alternate unit measure, 2 the each. Now, there's a few things that you want to know about units of measure before you go and set them up. Okay, your cost and your price, cost is from our suppliers, prices to our customers, are based off the primary or base unit. So you might have a markup or a margin from your price to your customer based on your cost. You cannot, or at least should not, change your base unit of measure once it's been used in transactions. So think about that. If I'm selling in eaches and I have a certain cost, and all of a sudden I change my unit of measure, my base unit of measure, to a dozen, well, it's not the same cost. So the system is going to be very confused, and it can cause data corruption. So think ahead when you set your base unit of your item. You don't want to change it later on. Also, you want to be specific when you define any ambiguity in your naming. So if I'm using a pair or let's say a dozen, those are already defined in the name. But if you're using like a box or a case or a pallet, there's no definition to the quantity that's involved in that naming. So if you're going to have a box, make it like a box of 20 or a box 20 or a box of 100. so that it's clear how many of the base unit goes into that alternate unit. Then, just so you're aware, and this is something you probably already know natively, is that there are many types of units of measure that we use in everyday life. Just to group them together, and some of the most common ones that we use in inventory are length, feet, inches, miles. You can have volume, quarts, gallons. You could have area, square inches, square feet. Weight, typically pounds, ounces. And time, like hours or minutes. And then lastly, a unit of measure set, or UOM set, is a group of conversions from one base or primary unit. So what I have here, what I've combined here with my eaches, this would be considered a unit of measure set. So going on to order time, a couple of things that you want to do to set up. So you're going to go to your company name in the upper right. You're going to want to go to company preferences, and then under items, enable your file for multiple units of measure. It comes defaulted with single units, which is fine. If you're selling in eaches, storing in eaches, and selling in eaches, then there's nothing to do. But you're most likely going to have the multiple units of measure. Turn that on. You can't turn it off once you do turn it on, but believe me, you're going to use it. Okay. Then the other thing is, what this creates is, under your profile lists, now you're going to have units of measure and units of measure sets. So units of measure, and a lot of these will already be created for you, but if there's any that you need to create, you can also just add them here, simply by adding the name and giving it an abbreviation. Once you have the units of measure set up, then you're going to set up the unit of measure sets. And so in this case, I added a volume unit of measure set. And this is where we make the conversions. So let's say my primary unit is a pint, but I purchased this in quarts and in gallons. So I simply tell it how many of the other units it takes that my primary unit makes up of those. So 2 pints are to a quart, and 8 pints are to a gallon. Okay. So what I'm going to show you next is simply creating a purchase order, so you can see how this is a little different. It comes up differently. So I'm going to go to my purchase orders. I'm going to create a new purchase order. I'm going to go to a manufacturer, my Kim Manufacturing. Okay. Give it all the date, all of the information it needs. Click Save. Oh, excuse me, I forgot my location. Click Save. And then over on the purchase order itself, I've set up an item here with multiple units. Okay. This is our special, exclusive, patented, super secret sauce that we're ordering. And we're ordering one in the base unit. Okay, so if I click that, I'm ordering. So I've got a base unit of a gallon here, but I can change that. Over here on the right-hand side, if I don't want a gallon, but I want to change it to something else, I can click here on the unit of measure and select my alternates. So if I only want to order pints from this particular vendor, I can do that. And you see my base unit of measure has changed. Excuse me, my alternate unit of measure. So now I'm ordering 8 of my pints instead of the gallon. That's just one way that units of measure can impact both order time or whatever system that you're using. It's important that you understand that you want to set up your units of measure and your unit of measure sets with right conversions so that you can go back and forth between stocking, shipping, purchasing, and sale units of measure to your customers. And that's about it for today. I appreciate your time. This has been Tim Grant, Business Solution Providers. Today's topic is units of measure, and I hope that you get a lot out of it. Thank you. Bye-bye.